My lovely, beloved students, in the previous sessions, we covered 4 chapters. Chapter 1 was IELTS 101. Chapter 2 was study materials. Chapter 3 was words to know. Chapter 4 was listening. And now we're going to be covering Chapter 5, which is about reading, which is the second skill in the IELTS exam. Read it right, shine so bright. Again, read it right, shine so bright. The chapter breakdown, very similar, or not very similar, it's technically identical to the listening section or the listening chapter. We are going to cover the components of the reading exam, how the answer sheet looks like, and how to write on it, how to manage your time in the exam, popular topics in the reading exam, the different types of questions, how they assess your score, how to study alone. Exactly the same to what we've covered in the listening. Why am I doing this? Because I want you to memorize it, to know exactly what we're going to be covering, to visualize it in your head. Okay? The components of the reading section of the IELTS exam. 3 texts to read, manage with speed. You have to be very fast in the reading exam. Why? I'll tell you why. Previously, I told you that in the reading section of the IELTS exam, we have 2 versions. We have one for the academic IELTS, and we have one for the general training IELTS. I told you that the listening is exactly the same in both versions of the IELTS exam. However, reading is not exactly the same. I told you it's almost the same. And when I said it's almost the same, I meant that the way you study for the exam, it's the same. However, there is a very small difference between the academic reading and the general training reading. In the IELTS exam, the passages of the reading are divided into 2 types: long passages and short passages. And when I say a passage is technically a collection of paragraphs, like text. This is a passage. Okay? So this is what we call a long passage in the IELTS. Most of the times, it's 2 pages. And when I say pages, I mean A4 papers. So the long passage of the IELTS reading exam is technically 2 A4 papers. Something that looks like this. This is the passage. And then we have the questions of the passage. They're also, most of the time, 2 pages as well. So 2 pages for the passage, 2 pages for the questions. This gives us what we call the long passage of the IELTS exam. Sometimes, or not sometimes, we also have what we call the short passage. In the IELTS exam, we have a short passage, and the short passage is 50% of the long passage. The passage itself is 1 page. The questions are also 1 page. So it's technically 50% of the length of the long passage. Okay? So we have 2 different types of passages: short passage and the long passage. Now, let me show you the differences between the long passages and the short passages so you understand what you're going to be doing in the exam. The number of questions that you're going to have when it comes to the long passages is roughly 13 to 14. Could be 13, could be 14. In the short passage, it's 50%. So it's 6 to 7. The length of the passage, the long passage is 800 words. Short passage is 400 words. 50%. Obviously, this is an approximate number. Okay? Some passages might be 650 or 750. Yeah? But this is an approximate number. This is just the passage itself, what you're going to be reading. What about the questions? They also have a lot of words, roughly 400 words for the long passage and roughly 200 words for the short passage. That's a lot of words, just letting you know. That's a lot of words. Okay? So what is the total length for the long passage? 1200 words or 1200 words. And for the short passage, it's 50%, roughly 600 words. Okay? All right. So now you know the difference between the long passage and the short passage. What about what you're going to be facing in the exam? As I told you, there is a difference between the academic version and the general training version of the IELTS. In the academic version of the IELTS exam, you're going to get 3 long passages. Again, 3 long passages. That's a lot of words. Just letting you know. In the general training version of the IELTS, you're going to get 4 short passages and 1 long passage. But since 1 long passage is technically equal to 2 short passages, so roughly you're going to be getting the same number of words. Because 1 long passage is 1,200 words. Multiply this by 3, it's 3,600 words. It's 3,600 words. The same thing applies to the short passages. If you multiply it by 4, 600 multiplied by 4, plus 1,200, it's roughly the same number. So, regardless what you're doing, if you're doing the general training version of the IELTS exam, or if you are doing the academic version of the IELTS exam, you're going to be doing roughly the same number of words in the passages. But the way they are divided is different. In the academic version, you're going to be getting 40 questions. And in the general version, you're going to be getting, guess, 40 questions as well. Okay? So, that's why I told you the reading for the academic version and for the general version, it's almost the same. The way the words are divided is different, but it's the same number of questions, the same total length, the same question types. Almost everything is similar. The way you study is similar. Everything is similar. So, whether you're doing the academic version of the IELTS exam or whether you're doing the general training version of the IELTS exam, you're going to stay with us in this video and we're going to study together. So we are one family, one people together. He said, how come you say one people? People, they told us in school, it's uncountable. You cannot say one people. Believe it or not, it's countable. Okay? You can say one people. He said, oh no. Yes. Okay? Okay. The answer sheet. Omar, oh, thank you, Omar, for turning the camera on. I appreciate it. Omar ESK, thank you. And Sarah, don't cry. Thank you to you as well. Okay. He said, what about me? Say thank me. All right. The answer sheet Fill the sheet complete with speed. Ah, focus now. Speed. Have you noticed that in the previous section, I told you the word speed? Look. See? Manage with speed. Complete with speed. What does that mean? You have to be very fast. Why? I will tell you. I will tell you why when it comes to the time management subchapter. Focus with me. Ali, looks like you're very tired, yeah? What time did you wake up in the morning? 6 o'clock in the morning? No, it's at 5 p.m. All right, why are you sleepy then? All right, the answer sheet. Let me save you time. It's exactly the same as the listening answer sheet. No difference. Exactly the same. Everything I told you about the answer sheet for the listening exam applies here. Okay? It looks exactly the same. There's only a small difference. Here, it says reading. See? See the cursor? And it's not going to look blue in the exam, by the way. It's just going to look gray. Yeah? Because in the exam, when they print the papers, they want to save ink. They print in black and white. But I'm very generous. Sometimes I choose colors when I print. Okay? So it's going to look exactly the same. Now, focus, focus. Now it's getting serious. Oh, thank you, Tuka, for laughing. I appreciate it. See, Tuka, when she laughs, she's sending me an emoji. So I know that she's laughing. That's good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Time management. Use every minute. Put your best in it. Again, no focus on this one because this is connected speech. Yeah? Use every minute. Put your best in it. In it. Minute. See? The same. Okay, Isa. Can you please move to the following slide? No problem. I want you to focus on this picture, and I will tell you the secret behind this picture very shortly. But keep it in your mind because you're going to remember it when you're going to get a 0 in the exam. Okay? So keep it in your mind. Okay? The total duration of the reading exam is 60 minutes. In other words, 1 hour. Okay? 60 minutes in total. And if you're doing the academic version of the listening, and if you're doing the academic version of the reading exam, this means you have 3 long passages. 60 divided by 3, 25. No, you said it's 20. Correct. It's 20. I was testing you. No, let's start with the general. Let's start with the general first. Okay. If you're doing the general training version of the IELTS exam, you're going to be doing 4 short passages and 1 long passage. For every short passage, I want you to spend 10 minutes. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 equals 40. And then you have a long passage, which is 20 minutes. So the way you divide your time is like this. In the general training version of the IELTS exam, spend 10 minutes for every short passage and 20 minutes for the long passage. For the academic version of the exam, you have 3 long passages. So 20 plus 20 plus 20, correct? That's 60. This is how you divide your time. Now, some people might say, in the IELTS academic version of the IELTS exam, the first passage is easy. The second passage is not very difficult. The last passage is difficult. Oh, look at Zoom. Can you see the emoji? Because I raised my hand? Okay, let me put it down. Wait, wait. See? Okay, let me try this. Thumbs up. Okay, I didn't know this. Okay, that's good. All right. So you can do this as well to me. Okay. So some people say that some of the passages are easier than the others. They're saying, or they say, that the first passage is easy, the second passage is not very difficult, the last passage is difficult. That's why you have to spend maybe 15 minutes for the first passage, 20 minutes for the middle passage, and 25 minutes for the last passage. I personally disagree. In my personal opinion, all of them are equally the same difficulty. Yeah, in my personal opinion. That's why I encourage you to spend the exact same time or to divide your time equally between these passages. Okay? So 20, 20, 20, or 10, 10, 10, 10, and 20. Now, if there is a question that you do not know, if there is a question that you do not know the answer for, do not leave it empty. Take a guess, but make your guess an educated guess and then move on. Do not leave it empty, please. Yeah? Do not leave it empty and do not spend more than 10 or 20 minutes per the passage. Okay? So take a guess and move on. Forget about it. You don't have to get a 9 out of 9. Yeah? You can get a 7 or an 8. It's fine. Do not spend a lot of time on the passage. It's going to affect the following one. The last bullet point is connected to the image. Now focus on the image. The person who's crying is you in the exam. Why? Because in the listening exam, I told you that they're going to give you 10 minutes to transfer your answers from the question booklet to the answer sheet. Correct? Correct. In the reading exam, they're going to give you 0 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Again, in the reading exam, they're going to give you 0 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. This means you have to transfer your answers from the question booklet to the answer sheet as you're answering the questions. And trust me, when I was doing my IELTS exam, I saw a person who's probably in his 40s who was crying in the exam like a baby. Why? Because he didn't transfer his answers to the answer sheet. He was expecting 10 minutes to transfer the answers. The last thing that you want to happen in the IELTS exam is to cry like a baby. Okay? So remember this photo. Don't be the guy in this photo. Okay? Lisa, but I'm a baby. Yeah, baby, not he. Okay? Not in the exam. Okay? Now, the popular topics in the reading exam. Themes to know, watch them flow. In the long passages are academic, scientific topics. For example, they might be about a life story of a scientist, or greenhouse gases, or the life story of an explorer, yeah, or about the brain, or about the life on another planet, Mars, yeah, or extinction of animals, dinosaurs, for example, or the adaptation of animals, like this photo. This photo is a photo of a chameleon. Yeah, you know the chameleon? It's a reptile that changes its color based on the environment around it, like a lot of people we know. Okay, so don't be a chameleon. Yeah, yes, I know what you talk about. Now I understand. It's the herbaya. Oh, very difficult. Yeah, correct. It's the herbaya. So don't be a chameleon in this life. Okay, what should I be, Isa? Be maybe a lion. Yeah. All right. So all the topics about the long passages are going to be academic topics. So even if you're doing the general training version of the IELTS exam, the long passage that you're gonna get, it's gonna be a scientific topic. What about the short passages, Isa? Isa, I'm going to Australia, or I'm going to Canada. I'm immigrating. I don't care about the long passages. I want to immigrate. What are the topics that I'm gonna be facing, Isa? Okay, why are you shaking your head like this? Because I don't care. Okay, I don't care either. I'm not gonna tell you. Please tell me. Okay. They're gonna be about everyday situation, like a job advertisement, for example. Yeah? Like a description of a job that you're applying to or applying for. Or the regulations and the instructions in a company. What to dress, where to eat, how not to steal food from the fridge, like a lot of people do. The facilities in a sports center, like in a gym or a club. How to use a piece of equipment, yeah, a machine, an insurance policy of your life, maybe, or of a car, or of your house, yeah, or a holiday destination, yeah, where to spend your holiday or your honeymoon. Okay, so how is this related to the image? Oh, the image is also about a holiday destination. Please type in the comments which city does this image belong to? Yeah, type in the comments because you're sleeping. I want you to wake up. This is the holiday destination. Dalal is saying Bali. Yusuf is saying Thailand. Ali is saying Vietnam. Tuqa is saying Greece. Alex is saying India. Omar is saying China or Tokyo, Japan. Hmm. Okay. I noticed that some people do not chat. The people who do not chat, I'm gonna block them. Yeah. Chat. The ones who do not talk, talk. Mexico, America, Australia, Japan. All right, let me tell you. This photo is from Bali. Bali, if you don't know, is an island in Indonesia. Bali, if you do not know, is a big island and it's the most visited island in the entire world. Just letting you know. Yeah. Bali. Yeah, it's Bali. Okay. You know, Bali is good in Indonesia and Phuket in Thailand. The best two islands, okay, to visit. Okay, so can you please continue? Yeah, we'll continue, but I have to spice the topic up, otherwise you're gonna fall asleep. Yes, I'm already falling asleep. Okay, wake up then. Question types in the reading exam. Now I want you to focus because now we're gonna have a lot of questions that we have to answer. Yeah, Isa, please. Let's answer the questions and get zeros. Ghafran, thank you. Why are you late? See, Dalal, remember when I told you that last time we had 60 people attending. Today we have only 35. At the end of the course, only the ones who are attending all the classes are gonna get the gift that I told you about. I'm serious. The ones who are attending the classes are gonna get the gift. The ones who are not attending, I'm not gonna get the gift. See, I'm very upset. Wanna cry. Question types: match, fill, or choose. No time to lose. Match, this means matching. Fill means fill in the blank. Choose means choose the correct answer. No time to lose. Match, fill, or choose. No time to lose. So, in the listening exam, I told you that we have two different question types. Number one was writing words and or numbers, correct? And the second one was choosing the correct letters. A, B, C, or D. Correct? Correct. In the reading, it's very similar. Writing words and or numbers, the exact same thing as the listening. I'm not going to explain them. Choosing the correct letters, A, B, or C, or D, or E, or F, whatever. Could be multiple choice, matching, labeling. But we have two more question types in the reading. Zoom didn't understand this, apparently. They do not have this emoji. Yeah. Okay. We have two more question types. Choosing the correct number. But this time, it's not going to be an English number. It's going to be a Roman number, like the Roman Empire. I, double I, triple I, or IV, or V. You know these numbers? The Roman numbers. You have to write them. Okay? So this is technically the heading question. We'll show you an example of this question type in the following slides, where we have to write Roman numbers on the answer sheet. Or you might face what I personally call verification questions, which means these are the questions where you have to verify the information by comparing the question to the passage. They could be true, false, or not given, or yes, no, not given. You say, what is the difference between true, false, not given, yes, no, not given? True, false, not given. This is when you have a factual passage. This means a passage that's telling you facts, information. Yes, no, not given. Sometimes you might be having a passage that's talking about the writer's opinion. So, yes, compared to the writer's opinion. No, compared to the writer's opinion. But what is the difference when it comes to action? There's no difference. Yes, no, not given is exactly the same as true, false, not given. The only difference is if they ask you to write true, false, you have to write true, false. If they ask you to write yes, no, you have to write yes, no. So if the answer is true and you write yes, you're going to get 0. If the answer is no and you write false, you're going to get a 0. If the answer is not given and you write not given, you're not going to get a 0 because it's the same for both of them. Wake up. Thank you, Isa. I was thinking that you're going to make a mistake. No, I'm not going to make a mistake. I prepared for this session. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Sarah's clapping for me. Thank you. We're going to get a lot of zeros. Indeed, you will get a lot of zeros. Yeah, you have to accept this fact. Ah, maybe have a sip before. Where's the energy? Shall I cancel the class and go to JBR or Marina or Dubai Marina or Business Bay? I can go, but I prefer to stay with you. JBR is only here. I can go. And now it's January, the best weather in Dubai. Best time. And you're not even giving me a thumbs up. I want to cry. Yes, he said, don't cry, please. All right, focus. Mm. Golden. Focus. Now we're gonna be doing questions, so focus, yeah? And guess what I brought with me today? My iPad. Because it's writing. I'm gonna be writing. Not writing, it's reading. See? A pencil and the iPad. Because I'm gonna show you how to highlight and answer questions. So focus with me, please, yeah? Ali, please. Tajur. Tajur, are you a nurse in a hospital? You are, yeah? Are you a nurse? But you dressed up like a nurse, no? You say, I'm not a nurse. I'm a doctor. Be careful. Please. MashaAllah, dentist, Lisa. Okay, I'm a dentist. I'm gonna make the hashwa, the filling. Okay. I didn't study 5 years to tell me I'm a nurse. I'm leaving this session. Oh, please don't leave. All right. Focus with me now. Now we're gonna cover the question types in the reading. Focus, yeah? Now I'm being serious. Now, when we do the listening passages that I'm gonna show you, each passage is about a topic. And each passage I told you, especially the long passages, has around 13 to 14 questions. Correct? Correct. These 13 to 14 questions, they are technically divided between 3 to 2 different question types. So you might get maybe 7 questions true or false, and 7 other questions fill in the blanks, for example. Okay? So what I'm going to be showing you now, when we are doing the questions, I'm going to be showing you only half of the passage, or one part or one portion of the passage. Because if I want to show you the entire passage, this means we're going to be doing more than one question type in one go. And I want you to focus on only one question type so we know how to answer it. Okay? So there is a question, or there is a passage in the IELTS that's taken from IELTS Cambridge Academic 15, which is one of the books I told you previously to study from. This passage is called Henry Moore. It's one of the passages in one of the exams. And this is the title of the passage. And I want you to pay attention to these images. Obviously, in the exam, they're not going to give you any images. But I want you to pay attention to something that I personally like to do. I like to include these images. Why? Because trust me, when you study a passage while you're practicing, link it to a video or to an image so you can understand it and remember it properly. If you do not link it to an image, if you do not link it to a video, the information is going to go from one E and outside the other E. But when you remember the image or the video, trust me, the information is not going to disappear like this. Okay? So the images that I'm going to be showing you now are images that I created on ChatGPT for you to understand the passage. Cool? Cool. So I'm going to be showing you how I do or how I answer these questions myself. Okay? But you can do it with me, obviously. Like I will show you, you can do it with me. Because I need to explain it to the students who are not very confident. Good? No, you said not good. I'm leaving. Please don't leave. Okay? So focus. So now what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing something that's very difficult, connecting it to my iPad, which I spent around 2 hours trying to make it work, but it finally worked. Because in English, as they say, where there is a will, there is a way. So focus with me. And don't worry, while I'm doing it, I'm going to be explaining everything. So relax. Okay? Yes, I'm leaving. Don't leave. I'm leaving. Oh, so join a meeting. What is the meeting ID? Dalal, can you please just text me the meeting ID? This image is a sculpture. Yeah? You're going to understand what it means when I show you now the question. So it's fine. Because I want you to imagine what the topic is about. You're going to get something that looks like this. Well, not really something that looks like this. It's going to look exactly like this. Focus. Complete the notes below by writing no more than one word. Okay? And this is technically a notes completion question. They're going to give you questions. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 6 questions that we have to answer. And you have a title for this summary. You can call it a summary completion. Yeah. When you are reading the questions, obviously you have to read the questions. This is my technique. You read the questions before you read the passage. Again, you read the questions before you read the passage. Again, you read the questions before you read the passage. Again, you read the questions before you read the passage. Again, you read the questions before you read the passage. Enough. When you're reading the question, highlight the keywords. What are the keywords? As I told you previously in the listening, these are the most important words that tell you what the topic is about. Yeah? Most of the times, they are technically nouns or numbers, because these are the things that you can easily find in the passage. For example, when it says in 1930s, it's a number, technically a year. This means you will find it in the passage. You might find 1931 or 1932 or 35, but this still in the exact same thing, okay? So in the question, it's more general than the passage sometimes, but it's very easy to find, okay? 1940s, 1950s, these are very easy keywords to find because they are numbers. And then you read the bullet points. Try to highlight keywords. Obviously, more is not really a keyword. Why? Even though it's a noun, because the entire passage is about this person. So technically, you're going to find this noun in every single sentence, probably. So yes, it is a keyword, but it's useless in this case. Why? Because the entire passage is about this person. Okay? So Mo's exhibition is a keyword. Yeah. At the Lista galleries, capital letters. This means you're going to find the exact same words in the passage. It's a proper noun. Okay? Is criticized by the press. The press means journalists. Criticized. So the journalists said that his exhibition is not the best. I'm trying to paraphrase this bullet point to myself. Okay? I'm spending a lot of time now explaining it to yourself. The coming ones, I'm not going to be explaining them that much. Okay? I just want you to understand what I do when I read the questions. More is urged. When you urge someone, this means you're asking someone to do something, to offer his or to give his something, and leave. Okay, leave Royal College. Again, Royal College is a key word. You're going to find the exact same thing in the passage because it's the name of a college. Okay? So the question here is asking me to find a word. What is this word? It's technically going to be a noun, correct? Because you're offering something. It's going to be a noun. Okay? So I'm trying to expect the word that I'm going to be looking for. Okay, let's move to the 1940s. In the 1940s, More turns drawing, or more turns to drawing. Okay, so he started drawing because there's a reason here. Something for sculpting is not readily available. Sculpting, obviously, the entire thing is about sculpture, which is creating objects from clay or steel or stone, like the image I showed you. Okay, you should be familiar with this word. Okay, like the Statue of Liberty in New York is a sculpture. Yeah, in Egypt, don't know what they call him, the Great Sphinx of Giza or Giza is a sculpture. Yeah, I think in Iraq there's something similar. Yeah, no, pyramids are not really sculptures; they are structures. Yeah, a sculpture is something that's made of an object that looks like a human being. Okay. All right. Number 10. While visiting his hometown is a keyword. Mo does some drawings of. So he drew something. So I'm looking for this word. Mo is employed to produce a sculpture of something. So somebody employed Mo to create a sculpture of something. Maybe of a person, maybe. Number 12. Something start to buy Mo's work. Somebody started to buy his work. Okay. So I'm going to be looking for maybe a name of a person or I don't know. Mo's increased something makes it possible for him to do more ambitious sculptures. So something increased, and this something that increased made it possible to do more sculptures. Okay, what is that thing that increased or that went higher or that became more? 1950, there's no questions, but I have to read it. Why do I have to read it? So I can locate the answer for number 13. Okay, in the 1950s, bronze figures marks a further change in his life. Okay, bronze figure is technically a keyword. So I highlighted the keywords and I memorized the keywords in my head. Now when I'm reading, if I read something that reminds me of one of these questions, I know where to go. Focus with me. Okay? Here we have Royal College, gallery, drawing, hometown. All of these words are in my head. So now focus. Focus with me. So this is the part of the passage where the answers are from. Obviously, in the exam, the passage is going to be longer than this. But I only took the part of the passage where the answers are because I just want to show you how it's done. Okay? Focus with me. This is how I would read in the exam. Focus. Around the historian who moved away from his human figure to experiment with abstract shapes in 1931. This means 1930s. Okay? 1930s. Remember? Eh? 1930s. So this means I might expect an answer over there. Yeah. He held an exhibition. Lista galleries. Yeah, see? Okay. So now the key word that I highlighted in the question is he. Okay. So what I was looking for, I would go back, focus. Mo is urged to offer something and leave Royal College. By the way, we are still here. We are still in this bullet point. Once we read Royal College, we're gonna look for the word that is for question number 8. Go back. His work was enthusiastically making for sculptures, but the reviews in the press was extremely negative. Okay, so we know that we're in the first bullet point and turned more into a notorious figure. They were called for his disagreement. Royal College. Royal College. This is the second bullet point. What about Royal College? Remind yourself. This is how I would do it. I know I'm spending a lot of time now because I'm explaining. Focus. What about Royal College? Mo is urged to offer something and leave Royal College. So looks like somebody asked him to give something and leave Royal College. So what is this something that people asked him to offer or to give? We are here and following the year when his contract expired, he left. He left the Royal College to start a sculpture department at Chelsea School of Art in London. We couldn't find the answer yet. So let me read the sentence again. There were calls for his resignation. Calls, there were calls. So people asked him to do something. So people urged him to do something. So people asked him to do something. They were calls for his resignation from Royal College. When you resign from a college, this means you leave the college. So in this case, Mo is urged to offer his resignation and leave Royal College. Correct? See? It's technically the same word. There were calls for his resignations. This means he was asked or he was urged to offer his resignation. Okay? So the answer for number 8 is resignation. Obviously, I'm writing it this way because it's on the question booklet. If you write this way in the answer sheet, you're going to get a 0. Okay? You should write it this way on the answer sheet. Let me show you. I'll write it at the end because I have to fix the thickness. Okay, cool, cool. Let's keep reading. In 1930s, Mo did not show any inclination to the British public. He became interested in the paintings. Spanish artist Pablo Picasso found him striking the body in a radical way. At times, he seemed to abandon as a human figure altogether. Patches and sketches from his period sculpture that more. See the way I read? This is called skimming. I'm not reading slowly, I'm reading quickly. Yeah. Oh, 1940s. 1940s, this means we're expecting to find the answers for these questions here. He turned to drawing because something of or for sculpture was not available. Okay, why did he turn to drawing? So it looks like he started to become like a painter or an artist. Drawing, yeah? 1940s, during the Second World War, Mo stopped teaching at Chelsea and moved to a farmhouse about 20 miles north of London. His shortage of materials forced him to focus on drawing. So he moved to a farmhouse, forced him to focus on drawing. So what forced him to focus on drawing? Shortage of materials. So it looks like there was not many materials. That's why he focused on drawing, or he turned to drawing. Let me read. Mo turns to drawing because shortage, maybe? Because shortage for sculpture? No, it doesn't make sense. If I write shortage, it's not going to make sense because grammatically the sentence is incorrect. So shortage is not the answer. Maybe shortage of material? If you write shortage of material, you're going to get plenty of zeros. Why? Because you're only allowed to write one word. So you cannot write shortage of materials. It's either shortage, which is wrong in this case, or materials. More turns to drawing because materials for sculpting are not readily available. Not readily available means shortage. It's just another way of saying shortage. So the correct answer in this case is materials. And it does make sense. More turns to drawing because materials for sculpting are not available. Correct. So let me write it quickly. Here, I haven't used this iPad for a very long time. That's why, whatever. Mat- materials. Cool. See, you have to ask yourself, the words I'm writing, are they the same as the instructions or they are not complying with the instructions? You have to be careful. Let's keep reading. He did the numerous sketches of Londoners, turning these into large colored drawings in his studio in 1942. He returned to Castleford to make series of sketches of miners who worked there. Again, 1942, 1940. What was the other question? Okay. Okay. While visiting his hometown, Moore does some drawings of something. Let me go back. Now, because the rest of the passage is not here, if you do not know, Castleford is his hometown. It was mentioned in the previous paragraph. So when he returned to his hometown to make series of sketches, like drawings, of the miners who worked there. So this is a key word. His hometown, he made drawings of the miners who worked there. So when he visited Castleford, he did some drawings. Drawings is just another way of saying sketches, just the exact same thing, of the miners. You don't even have to know the word miners, but miners are people who work in the mines. Okay? So what is the answer? The miners, correct? Correct? Not correct. Zero. The answer is miners, not the miners. Okay? Why? Because you're only allowed to write one word. Moore does some drawings of miners. Najwa is saying Londoners. No, it's not Londoners. See, she's saying this. That's good. It's a good guess. She's saying that Londoners might be the correct answer. He did numerous sketches or small sketches, which is correct. He did sketches, but he was not in his hometown yet. He returned to his hometown. The question was telling you about after he returned to his hometown. So after he returned to his hometown, he did sketches of miners. Okay? He did sketches for Londoners, but before returning to his hometown. Okay, Najwa? Again, now we are here. Somebody started to buy his work. That's still in the 1940s. Let's go back and try to find the answer. Commission for sculpture. By the way, we are still here. Okay. Offered. A town near London offered him a commission for sculpture. Depicting, this means representing a family, yeah? The resulting work signifies a dramatic change in his style, blah, 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 blah. 1930s. Focus here. Mo is employed to produce a sculpture of a something. Somebody employed him. Somebody gave him money to draw a sculpture, or not to draw, to create a sculpture of something. What is that something? Okay. A town near London offered him a commission. A commission means amount of money. So technically, when you offer someone a commission, this means you employ someone. Why did they employ this person, or why did they offer him commission? For a sculpture depicting a family. To create a sculpture to represent a family. So I think the word family in this case is the correct answer. Look here. Mo is employed by that town because they offered him a commission to produce a sculpture depicting a family. So the correct answer is family. Correct? And it does make sense here. I'll draw the family. Because we have has to be singular. Correct. Thank you, Najwa and Aya. Okay. Now here, number 13, more increased, something increased, and this something that increased made it possible for this guy to make him more sculptures. What is that something that increased? And by the way, regarding number, oh, we're still here, number 12. Sorry, my bad. Started to buy his work. So somebody started to buy his work. Who's that somebody? Let's read. Family or something signifies dramatic change in his style away from experimentation of the 1930s towards a more natural and humanistic subject matter. He did dozens of studies in clay for the sculpture, and these were cast in bronze. Okay, up until now, no one started to buy his work. 9 copies. In this way, more work became available to collectors. So his work was available to collectors. This means collectors started to buy his work. Collectors are technically people who buy things like paintings and drawings. And it does make sense. Yeah. So collectors start because it's plural to buy his work. Correct. Collectors. So number 13, so not number 12, collectors. And back to number 13, something that's increasing made it possible for him to do more work. Let's read. Yeah, here, the boost in his income enabled him to take an ambitious project. Ambitious is mentioned here. Ambitious projects, ambitious sculptures. So what is the reason he started to make ambitious sculptures? Something that increased. The boost to his income. If something is boosted or there is a boost to something, this means it has increased. Okay? Boost, this means a very big increase. So the correct answer in this case is income. Let me read it. Let's see if it makes sense in the sentence or not. It might be wrong. Whose increased income makes it possible. It does make sense. Grammatically is correct. So it's the answer. See? This is how it's done. I know I spend a lot of time on it. In the exam, you only have to finish it in probably 5 to 7 minutes, but because I'm explaining. Okay? It's not very difficult. If you notice, the answers do come in order. So the answer for question number 8 comes before 9, which comes before 10, which comes before 11, which comes before 12, which comes before 13 for this question, if you noticed. Obviously, we finished. If you do this in the exam, you're going to get a 0. All the answers are correct, but you're going to get a 0. Why? Because, see, whatever we drew on the question booklet is not going to make sense to the examiner or to the person who's marking your exam. Because this question booklet is going to go to the rubbish bin. To the rubbish bin. You have to transfer your answers to the answer sheet, and your answer sheet is going to look like this. This is what they care about. Even if the question booklet is empty, this is what's important. So resignation in block letters, materials in block letters, minors in block letters, family in block letters, collectors in block letters, income in block letters. And by the way, remember the photo? This photo? This is the family sculpture that we answered about. You remember? Question number 11. He was employed to produce a sculpture of the family. This is the sculpture. So it sticks in your mind. How many correct answers have you got? Out of 6? Yusuf got 6, mashallah. Welcome back, man. Yeah, you got 6 because I'm doing it with you. Okay? All right. Now let me ask you a question. Thank you. Must write the first letter as capital letter. Noor Al-Sawaf. The way you are writing the word letter means rubbish. The word letter, the way you're writing it means rubbish or waste. It's Letter. Yeah? So your question is no good. Okay. Yeah, you have to write using block letters. Not you have to, it's recommended. No, okay? Now let me ask you a question. Do you want me to do the rest with you, or do you prefer to do it by yourself? If you want me to do it, type in number 1 in the comments. If you want to do it by yourself, type in number 2 in the comments. Looks like there's a competition. Some people are typing 1, some people are typing 2. Dalal, how can we create a poll? Can we create a poll? Try to. Yeah. Am I boring while I'm explaining the reading? Like the question? Be honest, that's fine. I felt I'm a little bit boring because the iPad, it's a little bit difficult. A little bit boring? Okay. Not boring. No, surely. Okay. Probably let me do one more with you. We'll see. Yeah? You make it easy. Okay. Fine. Because I want to explain. If I'm not explaining, what's the point? Okay? Oh, wow. Look at the image. By the way, can you see this, the image? Okay. Who knows Layla and the Wolf story? Raise your hand if you know Layla and the Wolf. Wow. Wow. Okay, okay. Layla and the Wolf is a magical story, an imaginary story. It's a story that obviously did not exist. It's a made-up story. These stories, we call them in English fairy tales. Fairy means something that's magical, imaginary. The word tale means story, like imaginary stories, fairy tales. There's a passage that is about Layla and the Wolf. Obviously, in English, they do not call it Layla and the Wolf. Yeah, the real name for this story is The Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, you know the hoodie that you wear? Can you see my face or no, by the way? Or you can only see the screen? Can you see my face? Oh, you can? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there is a story that is called The Little Red Riding Hood, and there is a passage in the IELTS Academic Version. There is about Layla and the Wolf. Okay? The reason why I'm showing you these images, they're not going to show you these images in the exam, obviously, but because you have to be interested in what you read. You have to enjoy it. Otherwise, it's not going to stick in your mind. All the words that you learn, everything that you read, if you do not do your research, it's not going to stick in your mind. Okay? You should remember that Layla asked her mom, Mom, I want to go to see grandma. Okay, no problem. Go and take some fruits with you. And then Layla went, but she didn't take the shorter road. She took the longer road. And then there was the wolf that you can see in the image. Yeah. And then something bad happened to Layla. Why? Menna, where's your daughter? Inji? Something bad happened to Layla because she didn't listen to her mom. Where's Inji? Yeah? Tell her what happened to Layla. So this is the title of the story of the passage. Now, let me show you the questions that are about this passage. Summary completion. I feel like I do not want to explain anymore. Let me have some water. It took longer than I expected. I have to educate myself how to use the iPad properly. Sarah, where is your daughter? Yeah? Tell your daughter to listen to this story. All right. Let me do it with you. So this is a summary completion question. How many words should we write in the answer sheet? 5 words? How many words? Please write in the comments. How many words? 5. Hmm. 5 zeros you're gonna get. 5 zeros. 5 zero. All of you are gonna get zeros because we should choose letters. We're not allowed to write words. For example, if the correct answer for number 32, for example, is the word warning, and if you write warning, you're gonna get a 0. You should write C. Why? Write the correct letter. Okay? A lot of people make this mistake, so focus. Ah. Pay attention. Let me read. See, focus with me, yeah? All right. Phonogenetic analysis of Little Red Riding Hood. Tehrani. Tehrani looks like it's the name of a person from Iran. Use techniques from evolutionary biology to find out or to discover if something existed. Okay, something existed. Something was there. Okay, what is that something? Among 58 stories. This is a very important keyword. 58, you go to the passage, you're going to find 58. So 58 here is very important. It's going to tell us where the answer is because they're not able to change the number. It has to be 58 from around the world. Okay.
So what is the thing that he found out about that existed among 58 stories? Okay. He also wanted to know which aspects of the stories, which parts of the stories had the fewest. Fewest is an important keyword. Fewest means the least, the smallest number, the minimum. Okay? So we're gonna find something in the passage that has this meaning. The minimum, the lowest, the smallest. Yeah? So it's important. As he believed these aspects would be the most important. Okay, he believed that these ones are the most important ones. Okay. Contrary to the other beliefs, like opposite to other people opinions, he found that, okay, what did he find? Some that were included in the story tended to change over time. So things changed over time. What are these things that change over time? And that the middle of a story seemed no more important than the other parts. So the middle, the central, the one in the middle seemed no more important. It's not that important, or it's not more important than the other parts. Okay. He was also surprised, shocked, amazed, okay, that parts of the story which seemed to provide some sort of were unimportant. Okay. So here we have to write the things that are not important. What are the things that were not important, unimportant? This aspect, or the aspect that he found most important, like the maximum in terms of importance. What is this thing? Was something. See? See the way I'm reading? Yeah? Trying to expect what to look for. And obviously, we have to look for the options. We have to read these options. Yeah? Because we have to choose from these options. Ending, ending, this means the end, the final thing, the last part, okay? Links means connections, relationships, something that links to another thing, okay? Horror, horror means fear, danger, scared, okay? Events, yeah, events, things that happen, actions, okay? Records, records, it could be many things, I don't know. People, people, people. Warning, okay, warning. Variations, this means different versions. Plot, plot could be a piece of land and it also could be the script of a story. In this case, I think it means the script of the story. Okay? See? Now I read the question or the questions. I'm gonna go and read the actual passage. What am I looking for? Let me remind myself something about biology here and 58 stories. These are the things that I have in my mind while I'm reading the passage. So focus with me. Focus. Tehrani. Tehrani. Okay, good. Analysis. Analysis. The entire thing is about analysis. So it looks like the answer is there. Okay. Focused on Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. In many forms, which include another Western fairy tale known as The Wolf and the Kids. So it looks like they call Layla and the Wolf and the Kids. Just different versions. Checking for variants of these two tales, two stories, and similar stories from Africa, East Asia, and other regions, he ended up, 58 stories. 58. 58. So Tehrani used techniques from biology to discover if something existed in the 58 stories. What was the thing that he discovered was inside the 58 stories? Stories. Let me read it again. Checking variants of these stories. Checking for variants of these two tales and similar stories. He ended up with 58 stories recorded from oral traditions. Once his Phylogenetic analysis. Phylogenetic analysis. Okay, so it looks like this is where the answer is. Had established that they were indeed related. When they say they, in this case, it means the 58 stories. The 58 stories that he compared that are about Layla and the Wolf or the Little Red Riding Hood. These 58 versions of the story are related. He used the same methods to explore or to find out, to explore, to find out, to discover how they have developed and altered and changed over time. So what is the answer? Tehrani used techniques from evolutionary biology to find out if existed among 58 stories from around. He was studying these 58 stories to find out. Let me read the options. Ending, we are here. Ending, no. Links, could be links. To find out if links existed. He ended up 58 stories. Once he's feeling, by the way, you don't have to know this, but phylogenetic analysis, in this case, it means evolutionary biology. This is how they are paraphrasing this. Yeah. So he used this technique to find out if these 58 stories were indeed related. I think the answer is links. If there is links between them, this means they are related. Could be, I'm not very sure, but I'm gonna write a D for now. Because it does make sense. So this one is D, which means links. To find out if links existed amongst these stories. Because the other things do not make sense. Maybe if events existed amongst the stories, obviously events do exist amongst all the stories. Records, people existed, no. Warning, no. Variations, could be variations, could be, to be honest. Existed, could be. Plot, no. So it's D or F, but I would go with D. Why? Because here, if they are related, this means they have links. Okay? But I would write in the exam D, F, but I would say more likely it's D. But I would write F as well in the exam. Okay? Now let's keep going. He also wanted to know which aspects of the stories had the fewest. See here, the fewest? Fewest, the least, the minimum, the smallest, the shortest. Yeah? This is what I'm looking for. What is that thing that was the smallest or the shortest or the minimum? Let me read. First, he tested some assumptions about which aspects of the story. Least. See? See? Least. Fewest. Okay. I found the answer. Which aspects alter least? Which aspects changed the least? Which aspects had the least number of changes? So aspects, the answer is aspects. Obviously, if you go to the exam and you write aspects, you're going to get zeros. Why? Because you have to write letters. So we have to find a word that means aspects here from this box. You got it? So aspects of the story, it could be ending, no. Events, could be events. Records, could be records. I would say it's either events or records. Because aspects is plural. The aspects of the story could be events, could be records, could be also variations. Correct? All of them are plural. Let me read it again properly. First, he tested some assumptions about which aspects change the least as it evolves, indicating their importance. Blah, blah, blah. Believe that happens in the story is more critical. More fundamental. Okay. Which aspects of the story change the least? Could be B, could be E, could be F. You're writing C and I. By the way, the word aspects is already mentioned here. So technically, the word aspect is not the answer. Yeah? Which aspects of the story had the fewest? Alta least means change the least. So which aspects of the story had the fewest changes? Technically, the answer is changes or alterations. In other words, variations. F. So F, this is D, this is F. This means for 32, it's technically not F. See? See how it's done? Hmm? Which aspects of the story, alta means change. Which aspects of the story change least or change the least? This means they have the fewest alterations or the fewest changes or the fewest variations. Got it? So we have D, we chose D already. We're going to cross it out. We chose F already. We're going to cross it out. Okay? Then he, contrary to other people's beliefs, he found that some were included tend to change over time. What are the things that changed over time? Okay, let me find out. Tehrani found no significant difference in the rate of evolution of incidents compared to characteristics. Certain episodes are very stable because they are crucial to the story, but there are lots of other details that can evolve. Details that can change quietly, or details that can evolve quite freely. So he's saying certain episodes or certain events are very stable, but other events are changing a lot. He's saying some events are stable, some events are changing a lot. Let's go to the question. The question says, he found that some events, I would say, that were included tend to change over time. Events. Obviously, it's not ending. It's not horror. Events. Events does make sense, yeah? Some events. How did I know it's events? Because here it says details. Details of the story means events or actions of the story. I would just write it events for now. Okay? B, this is B. Yeah, maybe question mark next to it because events could be used somewhere else, but for now it's events. He found that some events that were included in a story tend to change over time. And in the middle of a story, and the middle of the story seemed to be no more important than the other parts. Okay. He was also surprised that parts of the story seemed to provide some sort of. Okay, now let's look for the thing that's not important. Now we have to look for two things: the thing that's not important and the thing that is very important. These are the two things that we are going to be looking for. Support the theory. Also, we found that no significant difference in the flexibility of events that we compared with the beginning of the end. But the really big surprise. Oh, surprise. He was also surprised. Okay. So it looks like our answer is he came when he looked at the cautionary elements of the story. Studies on hunter-gatherer folk tales suggest that these narratives include really important information. But we're looking first for the thing that's not important, remember? We're looking for the thing that's not important here. What are the things that are not important? That's number 35. The environment and the possible changes they face this stuff. That's the relevant to their values. In his analysis, such elements were just as flexible as seemingly trivial. Trivial means not important, by the way, just letting you know. If something is trivial, this means it's not that important. So he's saying in his analysis, such elements, what does he mean by such elements? These elements are trivial. These elements are trivial. This means these elements are not important. What are these elements? Cautionary elements. Caution, this means you have to be careful. Yeah? You have to be cautious about something. This means you have to be careful. So the answer is cautionary elements. Obviously, if you write cautionary elements, you're going to get 0. Because you have to find the answer from the words here. Ending, no. Horror, no. Events, no. Records, no. People, no. Warning. Yeah? Because when you're cautious about something, you have to be careful. This means it's like a warning. So C. But let's read the sentence with the answer. Does it make sense? He was also surprised that parts of a story which seemed to provide some sort of warning were unimportant. Correct. It does make sense. Now let's look for the thing that is very important, the most important thing. What is that thing? Obviously, this is crossed out. Okay, we finished here. The answer. Oh, look, wait. What is important enough to be reproduced from generation to generation? What is it? The answer is fi. That was an easy one. So the answer here is fi. Fi means ending? No. Horror? Yeah. Fi equals horror. When you are scared of something. So G. So B, خلاص. Leave it. So these are the answers. DFBCG. DFBCG. Let me check. DFBCG. This is how you write it. It's very hard when you explain it while you're doing it, by the way. Toqa, you're gonna get a 0 because you wrote horror. 0. You have to write a letter. So this was another question type. This was choosing letters. We did completion or writing words and or numbers. And this is choosing the correct letters. Now let's do another one, which is choosing the correct numbers, but Roman numbers. In other words, matching headings. They're going to give you the passage with paragraphs, and they want you to find the perfect title or the perfect heading for each paragraph by writing the correct Roman number. If you look at this image, the development of museums. This is a museum in London that mimics the life of the Vikings, people who live in Scandinavia. People from Sweden, Norway, Finland. Yeah. So new museums these days, when you go inside a museum, they're trying to mimic the vibe, the environment. Yeah. So this is like a real museum, by the way. Obviously, it's generated by AI, but you go there and you can touch the things and you can wear the clothes of these people, the Vikings. So this is how it's going to look like. Matching Headings. Choose the correct heading for paragraphs from B to E. Write the correct number. See here, you have to write the correct number, the correct Roman number. And they're giving you an example. For paragraph A, they wrote V. V means this, which is number 5. Okay? So the first thing that you do when you have a heading question that looks like this, paragraph A already has a heading. This means you cross it out. Don't consider it for the following or for the other paragraphs. And in this session, we're only going to be doing for number 27 and number 28. So B and D. Obviously, in the exam, you have to do this for the entire passage, for all the paragraphs. But I just want to show you how it's done. The first thing that you have to do is to read the list of headings that you have. Read them, understand them, memorize them. For example, commercial pressure on people in charge. Okay, so there is pressure on the people who are leading the country, maybe. People in charge, this means people in higher positions. They are in charge of the country or in charge of something. Okay, commercial pressure. This means financial pressure. Okay. Mixed views on current changes to museums. Views means opinions. Yeah. So different opinions on the current changes to museum. Okay, some people think it's good, some people think it's bad, maybe. Interpreting the facts to meet visitors' expectations. Explaining the facts to make the visitor happy. Okay. The international dimension, but international effect or the global effect of museums. Fewer differences between public attractions, very small differences between public attractions. Public attractions are like touristic places. Yeah? Current reviews and suggestions, like feedback and recommendations. See, when I'm reading the headings, I'm explaining the headings to myself because obviously you're not gonna find any single word of these words in the passage. These are the meanings of what you're gonna be reading in the passage. Okay? And then you have the passage. Now we have 3 paragraphs. Obviously, in the actual passage, you're gonna have probably 5 or 6. I'm not gonna read A because there's already a heading for A. Let's read B and C. So the way we do it is you read it quickly and you try to understand what the passage is about. Remember when I taught you the word skimming? We're going to be doing skimming in this case. Skimming is to read quickly to understand what the passage or what the paragraph is about. Okay? And I already have in my mind the list of headings that I read. I know that they are different opinions about public places and financial pressure on people in charge and tourist places. I know all of these things in my mind. So now let me read and try to find the correct heading. Quickly, I'll have to read quickly. Recently, however, attitudes towards... By the way, attitudes means points of view, yeah? Towards history and the way it should be presented have altered, have changed. The keyword in heritage display show our experience more exciting would have been involving this is good examples of us in the UK. The National Museum of Photography, blah blah blah, and the Imperial Museum in London. In the US tend to emerge much easier. Blah 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 blah. No one can predict where the process will end. On so-called heritage sites, the reenactment of historical events is increasingly popular, which is and computers will soon provide virtual reality experiences which will present visitors with vivid images in which they themselves can act as part of historical environment. Up until now, none of the headings that I read make sense. Such developments have been criticized as intolerable. organization, multiplexes of many historical theme parks, and similar locations suggest that the majority of the public does not share. Oh, opinion. The majority does not share the same opinion. Hmm. I think I read something about opinions. Let me check. And even the word attitudes here means opinions. One second. Commercial pressure, mixed views, views, tempting facts, international, fewer changes. This is reviews, not views. I think it's this. Mixed views on current changes to museums, like mixed opinions, mixed attitudes. Yeah. The majority of the public does not share this opinion. So there are different opinions. So it's double I. Yeah? See? Quickly, really quickly. So 27, which is for B, double I. How would you write it in the exam? Can you please write in the chat? Double I. Yusuf 0. Ali 0. Aya not 0. North 0. Roa 0. Narjas good. Minute triple 0. Because this is how you write it. Double I. In capital letters. Do not write this. Because all the answers in your answer sheet should follow the same style. Everything should be in block letters. But in the passage, they are all small. Well, even in the listening and in the reading, everything was in small letters. You have to make them block letters. Okay? You write them in block letters. So after we choose it, we cross it out. Hmm. Okay. See, let me read quickly. Let me read quickly. In related development, the sharp distinction between museum and heritage site and the theme parks of the other gradually evaporating. Distinction is evaporating. So changes are. I think this would be VI. Let me check. Because differences means distinction, yeah? The sharp distinction between a museum and okay, I think it's this is the right one. Museum and heritage sites, all of these ones are technically public attractions, like touristic places. And they're saying here the distinction or the difference between these public attractions and also theme parks. Theme parks are like amusement parks, is gradually evaporating. So the difference is almost not there anymore. Oh, so you only see me in one place. Okay. So fewer differences, VI. This is VI. Well, let me just read to confirm my answer. They already borrow ideas and concepts from one another. For example, museums have adapted story, blah blah blah, accepted themes, blah blah blah, 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 moving forward and more authentically research-based presentations in zoos no longer but integrate such okay. I didn't read anything that would make me change my mind. So these are the answers. Double I, VI. This is how you write them. Skimming. I know it's not easy, but you have to practice. Yeah, you have to know how to write the Roman letters in block letters. Yeah, this is V and this is I. Because you're only going to be using either V or I. Yeah. So this is I, double I, triple I, IV, V, VI, V, double I. Okay. In the heading questions, let's say you read one of the paragraphs and you think that one of these options is correct, but you're not very sure, don't cross it out, keep it. But if you're very confident that this is the correct answer, you cross it out. If you're not confident, keep it. And when you read the following paragraphs, try to check it. Maybe it could be correct for the following paragraphs. Okay? So you only cross out the answer if you're very confident that this is the correct answer for the paragraph that you're reading. So we covered 3 question types: writing words and or numbers, choosing the correct letters, choosing the correct Roman number. Now we have the 4th question type, which is the verification question type. For this, I have to use my desktop because now it's getting serious. We're going to be talking about true, false, not given, yes, no, not given. So let me. Oh, you with me? Do you want a break? Quick break? You said, not break, we need to finish. You serious break? I need to finish the session. I'm not gonna finish. I wanna finish the true false not given. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. For 5 minutes only. I'm not gonna finish. It took longer than expected, but what can I do? MashaAllah, Sarah. This is your second kid? MashaAllah. Omar, are you from Morocco? Omar? Morocco. You look Moroccan. Are you Amazigh? You look Amazigh. See? Where's Mina and Ali? Sarah, what are you eating? What are you having? Tell us. Show us. معمول? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Do you call it معمول in Iraq? What do you call it in Iraq? Type it, I cannot hear you. Kliga? Klitcha? Klidja? Okay. معمول is easier. Okay. Klidja? Klitcha. Klitcha, I think, yeah? Whatever. No. Klitsch. Klitcha. Are you ready? You said we're ready. Why did you stop sharing the screen? Because I want to make you more ready. Okay, so now we are ready. Okay, focus with me. The verification questions. We have 2 types. True, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. What is the difference? No difference. But if you want to understand, because you're curious, true, false is when you are talking about a fact, like a factual passage. Yeah, like the sun is up. No one can deny this. But yes, no, this depends on the writer's opinion. Yeah, but the way you tackle the question is the same. Focus with me. What is true? What is false? What is not given, Isa? Let me tell you. We'll finish this table and then we can go to bed, okay? Because obviously I have more exercises, but if I want to finish them, you're gonna hate me, you're gonna kill me. Okay, just finish this table. Nathan is a guy. He's from Sydney, Australia. He is 20 years old. This is what you're gonna find in the passage. These are examples. Okay. Isa, what about Ahmad? You can call him Ahmad or Ali, whatever, but let's just call him Nathan for now.
is 29 years old. This is the passage. This is the information in the passage. In the question, they might ask you, true or false? Nathan is 1 year away from 30. Is this true or false? Does it mean the same thing or no? Let me know in the comments. He said, don't waste our time. Everything in the comments, We want to go to bed. Hurry up. It's true. Okay. All right. So it's exactly the same. That's why the answer is true. So this is number one of true. So if the information is exactly the same, it's true. By the way, all of you are going to get zeros in the exam, except for Ali, because you wrote true in small letters. Just letting you know. Thank you, Ali. Good. That's why you took a longer break than everyone else. Okay? All right. Focus here. In the passage, not Ali. Sorry, Ali. Nathan is 29 years old. But look at the question now. Nathan is in his late 20s. Is this true or is it false? Or is it not given? True? You sure? You sure? Correct. Not given. See, when I told you not sure, everyone is saying not given. Ali, 0. Rawia, 0. Why? Because it's true. In the passage, Nathan is 29 years old. The question says Nathan is in his late 20s. The question, focus here, is more general than the passage. If the question has a piece of information that is more general than the passage, it's true. For example, when you say Isa, let's say the passage, Isa, me, likes to play football. But in the question, Isa likes to play sports. It's more general than the passage. This means it's true because football is part of sports. 29 is part of late 20s, correct? So if the question is more general than the passage, it's also true. Mena, you're going to get a 0 because Mena wrote number like letter T. If you write letter T in the exam, you're going to get letter Z in the exam. How many times do I have to say this, man? I'm joking. Imagine if I talk to you like this. No, I will never talk to you like this. Okay? But this is how my teacher used to talk to me. Okay? All right. Focus now. Focus. Now we're gonna reverse it. Nathan is in his late 20s. This is in the question. In the question, Nathan is in his late 20s. What does that mean? If Nathan is in his late 20s, this means Nathan could be 27. Nathan could be 28, could be 29. Correct? The question says Nathan could be 29. Is this true or false? Not given? In the comments. True. I told you, Nathan is in his late 20s. This means he could be 27. He could be 28. He could be 29. Even though the question is more specific than the passage, but it's more specific, but also possible because of the word could be. Let me give you another example so you understand. When you say Isa likes to play sports, this is in the passage. In the question, Isa maybe likes to play football. Correct. Maybe basketball. Yeah, because of the word maybe or the word could be in this case. So if the question is more specific and possible, this means it's also true. These are the only 3 situations where the answer is true. If it's exactly the same, if the question is more general than the passage, if the question is more specific than the passage, but possible as well. Okay? Focus now. Nathan is in his late 20s. This is in the passage. The question. Nathan is 29 years old. But maybe he's 28. Maybe he's 29. Maybe he's 27. Everyone is saying false. This means all of you are going to get zeros. It's not false. The question is, Nathan is 20 years old. This could be true. Because the passage is saying he is in his late 20s. He could be 29. He could be. I don't know. Maybe he's 27, maybe he's 29, maybe he's 20. I don't know. When you do this in the exam, look, I don't know. It's not given. Maybe, I don't know. The question is more specific, but exact. The question is more specific than the passage, but exact. When it's exact, I don't know. Another example so you understand. Isa likes to play sports. This is the passage. The question, Isa plays volleyball. Could be. Could be. Because he likes sports. But I don't know. Correct? Is it clear? Is this clear? See the difference between these answers and the questions? Or the passage sentences and the questions? It's very tricky, but you have to be careful. And I'm giving you a very simple example so you can always remember this table. After I finish, you can take a screenshot of this table. So you can link it to all the questions that you're going to encounter. Okay? Okay. Focus. Nathan is in his late 20s. Okay, this means he could be 28, 27, 29. Okay. The question, Nathan was born in January. Could be. Could be. I don't know. Nothing is mentioned about the month in this case. Correct? Nothing. I don't know. Missing information. Nothing is mentioned about the month. They only mention his age. So if the information is missing, I don't know. Not given. Hadil, you're going to get a 0 because you're writing in small letters. Mena, you're going to get a 0 because you wrote the wrong answer. Okay? I think this is easy, yeah? Let me link it to my example. Isa likes to play sports. This is the passage. The question, Isa scored a goal in the match. Maybe he scored a goal, or maybe he was sitting on the bench. He didn't play. Maybe. I don't know. Missing information. Cool? So these are the only 2 cases where you write not given. If the question is more specific than the passage and exact, or if there is missing information, it's not mentioned in the passage. So what about false? Nothing is mentioned about false. When do we write false? You write false when there is a clear contradiction between the passage and the question. Very clear contradiction. If the passage says, Nathan is 29 years old. 29.
He's not 27, he's not 28, he is 29. The question tells you he is in his 30s. Don't tell me I don't know. You know. He is 29. Clear contradiction. False. Take a screenshot. Nathan is 29 years old. It's like saying Isa likes to play volleyball. And in the question, Isa likes to play basketball. Don't tell me you don't know. Come on. You know. I just told you. False. Take a screenshot. I'll cover my face. Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay, so now it's clear. 3, 2, 1. 3 cases for true, 3 cases for not given, 1 case for false. It's amazing. Good. What about Isa? Yes, no, not given. What's the difference? Let me ask you a question. What is the difference between Adidas and Nike? No difference. Correct? Same difference. What about Coca-Cola and Pepsi? All of them are not healthy. Same. What about true, false, not given? Yes, no, not given. Same. So take another screenshot. Good. Okay? No difference. But if they ask you to write yes and you write true, yes, you're going to get a 0. They ask you to write yes, you write yes. If they ask you to write false, you write false. Good table. By the way, this table is my invention. It's not available anywhere. Yeah? So if anyone uses it online, let me know. Okay? Clear? Clear. So it's almost 12. In the next session, the table is going to give me another reminder that I'm turning 30. This is Najwa. The sad reality is, Najwa, that I created this table when I was 29, a while back. So Nathan is technically me. Yeah. So it reminds me of myself as well. Makes me feel bad. But anyway, okay. So in the next session, I'm gonna give you, well, I'm not gonna give you, I'm gonna do myself. Questions about true, false, not given, and yes, no, not given. About 2 different passages. Okay? I was expecting to finish it, but whatever. Let me ask you a question before we finish. Do you like it when I do the exercises myself or no? Be honest. 1, this means you like it. 2 means you don't like it. When I do it myself. 1 means you like it. Well, everyone likes it. Oh, that's okay. Good. I love you. I thought that you want to do it by yourself. No, Isa, we like you. So when I explain, do I over explain or I explain just enough? Just enough? It's not working. I don't know. Okay, good. Thank you, Salman. Yusuf saying we like to do it together. But you're only one person. Everyone else is saying they like me. So, yeah, Yusuf. Unfortunately, I have to do it myself. Everyone, look at the chat. Everyone is saying 1, 1, 1, 1. Except for Hadil. Hadil and Yusuf. Thank you, Nof. خلاص. We're done for today.
I want to fix the iPad thing. I had a lot of problems with the iPad. I think I have a lot of issues. Have you watched have you watched the second session on YouTube? Yeah. So when I upload it on YouTube, do you watch it? Or because you're attending the live session, you don't watch it? I want to know. Tell me. Because that's why I spend a lot of time to do it quickly. It takes time, by the way, because I do editing and I upload and so let me know, do you watch it or you ignore it? Not all of it. Wow.